It's Ricky of Moshville Times here once again. Now, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by English old school death metal veterans Austerymn. Austerymn are to make an appearance at Dead of Winter, the trilogy at the end of January at Glasgow Ivory Black, so I just felt it was the right time to catch up with the band and see what's happening with all things Austerymn. So tonight we've got bassist vocalist Rick and we've got a guitarist, not yet vocalist Rich. We've unfortunately drummer Robert and guitarist Richard couldn't be with us tonight, so it just means that we've got free reign to take the mickey out of them, doesn't it? So, just a general question first: how the devil are you guys?
Yeah, really good. Really good. Very excited. Looking forward to getting the show back on the road again with Austerymn as well. So yeah, good.
I'm not used to seeing like a death metal veteran smiling so much, so
This is
that's
it.
so things must be good. Things must be good.
All good. If I'm not at work, I usually work nights. So if I'm not at work and I'm just been able to talk to you at 7:30 in the evening, it's good.
Good stuff, good stuff. But I say veteran, Rick, because you started Austerym under a different name, Perpetual Infestation, way back in 1990, and then
Yeah,
Godless Truth up until the mid 90s before
yeah,
Austerym was born.
yeah.
So, what were your memories of the bands back then, and what would you say Austerym is compared to them now?
Um, I mean, Perpetual Infestation, which was essentially was Austerym. But it was very raw. I mean, I was 15. We started it on my 15th birthday. 20th of July, 1990. I was 15 years old. I was getting really heavily into, the death metal scene, grindcore scene, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Getting involved in tape trading and all this kind of stuff, and going to go and watch all these bands and stuff. And yeah, so it was just my fledgling attempt, to start trying to form my own death metal band.
Yeah.
I've been in like Iron Maiden cover bands and stuff like
Are
that
you
up
going to say you
until
were
this
an
sort of
Iron
point.
Maiden there?
Yeah, yeah. So this was my first attempt to sort of do it, and it was very raw. It was very raucous. We couldn't get a drummer,
Yeah.
so those early demos were done with a Casio keyboard, drum machine, and all that kind of stuff on a cheesy little 4 track and everything. But interestingly enough, the two of the songs that we first ever put out as Perpetual Infestation ended up on the Austerym album,
Absolutely.
which was quite cool. So they were slightly reimagined, they were
Yeah.
slightly beefed up, but nevertheless, yeah, those two songs made it on there, so that was pretty cool as well. So yeah. But yeah, so that was quite a straightforward death metal band, which I like to sort of think that Austerym is again. But we got really heavily influenced by the Paradise Losts and
Yeah.
My Dying Bride, Anathema, and all that kind of stuff that was happening. And so when we flipped to sort of being Godless Truth, it was more in that vein. It was more in the Death Doom sort of vein and everything. And we had quite a bit of success with that. The demos and things like that under that title, Godless Truth,
Yeah.
really started to sort of like take off and get a lot of interest worldwide, etc. But when it came to, you know, I suppose this is typical of me, really. I can't sort of like focus on one thing, and so I just sort of ended up like I got bored, and I think partly as I developed as a player, as a musician, I just thought, I want to go back to actually playing faster and more
Yeah.
complex music and everything. So I had a meeting with my co-founder at the time, Critch, Steve, and just sort of said, you know what, I want to play death metal, and he was like, yeah, let's go for it. And so we changed the name to Austerym, and yeah, the rest is history. So yeah.
So there you go. There you go. But Rich, were you as young as 15 when you started Malediction?
No, I was 19.
19?
Mm.
Well.
He's 29 when he started Malediction.
But also when was the last time you actually listened to the first band? When was the last time you actually listened to that demo?
Do you know what? It's interesting you should say that. We were doing a gig with Malediction. Do you know what? I think it was Glasgow. I think it was. I think it was Dead of Winter, the first one where Malediction headlined,
Yeah,
and we all ended up crashing at Mark McGowan's place,
yeah,
and we put a bit of YouTube on, and I knew that I can't remember which. I think it was Dead, which eventually Austerym ended up doing properly, but the actual original version of it is up there on YouTube, and so I. I sort of sat there embarrassed, kind of thing, and all the rest of it. And but also at the same token, thought, you know what? For a 15-year-old kid on a Casio keyboard, playing all the instruments himself and everything, it's not too bad. So yeah, it was good fun. Yeah.
I'm just surprised that your voice actually broke. I thought you at that age.
Well, it's interesting actually because I on that demo, I actually did the vocals, and
Yeah,
usually like later on, Steve, who I was talking about earlier, ended up being the singer. But I actually did the vocals on that demo, and they were dreadful. I've never ever done that kind of vocal approach before. Um, I always sort of like class myself as a singer, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
I've been in bands where, I actually sing, and so it was completely new to me, and I was doing it so wrong. I was, it just sounded like a pile of crap. But I tried my best and got away with it, and yeah, managed to sort of do that. And then later on in life, when I accidentally ended up becoming the vocalist in Austerym, people said to me, "How do you do that?" I had this epiphany. I said, "Well, when I'm shouting at my kids." I said, I suddenly realised I was shouting with the diaphragm like a proper singer would do, and all the rest of it. And this noise was coming out, and I was like, that's how you're supposed to do it. Yeah, but
No,
yeah,
no, good
there you go.
stuff. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. But it's been 10 years since Austerym released any music more than a single, what with the
Yeah.
debut album Sepulchrum Viventium. And I'll tell you now, if you ever think of bringing another Latin name and I've got to say it live on the radio, I'm coming to find you. But
Yeah,
I noticed that this is maybe like, I don't know, they're like the sixth chapter of Austerym's existence. So what made you want to get a whole new lineup and bring Austerym back from the grave? I'm just wondering if you and Critch were just in the pub again and you were both thinking the same thing and just went, let's get Austerym back.
it's interesting you should say that because it was Critch's idea, and Critch, bless him, has subsequently decided that he's not going to be part of it, but it was actually his idea.
Yeah,
And he was like, because I mean, I was doing obviously malediction at this point, and I was still in Bloodmoors as well with so I was with two bands that were sort of like taking things seriously and doing tours and stuff. And he sort of said to me, what do you think? He says it's been 10 years since the album or whatever. Do you fancy sort of like getting back together and doing something? And it was originally going to be with um, the album lineup, I suppose.
yeah,
It wouldn't have had Nick Peros on drums because Nick lives back in Greece again. But it would have featured Bob, who Kendrick, who played with drums with Austerym since Nick left.
yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, if everyone else is up for doing it, I'll do it. I don't mind. But I was very sort of like, it had to be very, very serious about it because I was sort of like, I'm in Malediction, I'm in Bloodmoors, they have to come first. You know what I mean? And all the rest of it. So yeah, so we started doing that, and then but Stu, the guitarist, wasn't interested at all. He just sort of was like, nah, no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough. That's sort of up to him. And as I say, for quite a while, it was going to be, Steve was still going to be there on bass and everything. But then, yeah, he decided that he didn't want to do it. He was honest. He said, my heart's not in the right place. I was all excited about doing it. He says, but now I've had time to reflect on it and just don't think it's, what I want to do. And I was like, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
And so I was like, right, okay. Because by this point as well, Dead of Winter had also been mentioned. So I was sort of like, right, okay, well, I'll play bass because I feel comfortable playing bass because that's what I do anyway. And I'll ask Rick and Rich from Bloodmoors and from Malediction if they'd like to sort of get on board. With Rich, it made sense because Rich had already played bass. He'd filled in for like live bass with us. Odd occasion that Rich couldn't actually do it.
Yeah.
So that was really, really cool. So yeah, they were on board straight away, which was great. And Bob, good old Bob, he was straight in there as well. So yeah, no problem at all. So yeah, so
Good.
there we go. Yeah.
So how easy or difficult was it for you, Rich, to say to Rick in Malediction, this is how things are going to be, but now in Austerym, Rick's now saying to you, no, this is how things are going to be.
Well, it's his baby, isn't it? So I'm good at not taking ownership of things that aren't mine, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So when you were asked, were you just asked to like fill in for a couple of gigs or something like that?
what originally you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think when was it? Was that 20? It was after I got kicked out of Godthrim, I think, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
2017.
2017 around then. Yeah.
So we did one. In fact, the first gig we did was my worst ever live gigging experience because I learned the set in like 10 days. It was at the Star and Garter in Manchester,
Yeah.
and so I knew the song. It was okay. I knew, oh, this is fine. Okay, we had a rehearsal. Oh, this is fine. Went to the gig, set up, got on stage, and I had not factored in how dark it was on stage. And I was playing my Ibanez bass, and I was playing, and I cannot see the markers on the fretboard because they were those sort of dark pearl ones.
Right.
And I just had a complete, and I just started like panicking and like, oh, so it wasn't great. It wasn't great that.
So I take
We
it
all thought
your bass has now got like a luminous
I
lights
put
on
like,
it
well, that one I actually put luminous tape on the net. It's still got it on it.
now.
So yeah, once bitten, that's not going to happen again. But yeah, it's always a learning experience, and it's always like that's how you learn stuff, isn't it?
the rest of us thought it sounded great. It was
Yeah.
just Rick beating himself up. The
Listen,
rest of us thought it was great.
I've interviewed this guy a good 3 or 4 times in the last couple of years, and I've watched him live in the last couple of years, and he's his own worst critic. He's
Yeah.
never happy with his performance,
No.
So, but yeah, so
And if that works, then long may it continue, if you know what I mean. At the end of the day, I've got a. It was quite interesting actually. One of my really really good friends and a guy from been part of the scene for years and years. In fact, I'm pretty certain he's going to be there as well at Dead of Winter this year. Big Mark turned round, and when I said, oh, I've got Rich from Malediction, and I've got Rick from Bloodmoors doing Austerym. I said, and we've had a rehearsal. I said, and it sounded absolutely killer. I said, I was so surprised at how good it was. And Big Mark, he turns around to me and he goes, well, of course it does. He says, you've got two virtuosos on guitar. He said, and you. I was like, yeah, thanks for that, mate. Yeah, that's true, though.
that's all the reassurance you needed. All the reassurance you needed.
Yeah.
But I noticed that, like you just talked about there, that you brought Robert back, but you've now hired twin guitarist Rich from Malediction and Death Collector, as well as Richard from Bloodmoors.
Yeah.
How easy or difficult was it to find out the members that you wanted for the band? Straightforward.
It was really straightforward because I obviously played in both bands. I played with Malediction. I used to be in Bloodmoors as their bass player.
Yeah.
I'm quite hopefully. I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet here, but I think I'm quite an easygoing guy, and so from that point of view, even though I'd left Bloodmoors, there wasn't any bad blood, at all. They understood the reasons why I needed to go.
Yeah.
And so when I turned around and asked Rich and Rick, who I knew were great musicians, it was just, the difficulty would have been if they said no. If they said no, then that would have been a trauma. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I don't know who I'd have gone to. There were a few people who said they might have been quite interested, but they're also very busy people. So we'll. But luckily for me, the two guys that I wanted straight away said yes. So that's cool.
Well, I mean, even though you've got your comrades in Malediction, did you actually tell Rich that he was actually the seventh guitarist that you auditioned for the role? No.
Yeah. Well, Rich is considerably, he's an easygoing guy. He wasn't bothered about that at all. He was all right about it. I did say to him that, if he didn't make it on guitars, there might have been a spot for him on maracas, So
Absolutely. Well, funnily enough, talking about different instruments, you're a bit of a multi-instrumentalist when it comes to Austerym. Was it easier to get another guitarist in the band than the bassist?
At the time, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. The thing is, as well, once Stu had decided that he didn't want to be part of it, Stu was the lead guitar player.
Yeah.
Then I needed a lead player, and I don't rate myself at all as a lead player. I'm a rhythm guitar player. I always have been. I do the chug chugs and not the twiddly bits. And I'm good at that, but that's what I am. And then I was a little bit like, well, okay, I want Rick, I want Rich, so, but obviously Rich also at the time was involved, because he wanted to play bass and everything. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'll tell you what, we'll do that. I'll just do the vocals, So I was quite looking forward to sort of like, just sort of being able to run around the stage with a microphone, as a bit of a change, really. And then, as I say, Steve decided, no, I'm gonna sit back on it, and everything. So I was like, well, that's easy then. I'll just play bass and
Is it
just sort of
something that you're
become
looking to do? Are you going to stay a four-piece, or if a bassist came along and you do the vocals, are you happy with the four?
I mean, I'd be happy with the four. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you meet people, don't you? And they're really cool guys. In fact, I'd probably prefer it the other way to sort of like, if I'm honest with you, is to probably stay on bass and get another vocalist in. If I'm honest with you, it makes it because I can't remember lyrics. So this is the honest truth, right? And I swear to God, it'll be the same at Dead of Winter. I cannot remember lyrics, right? So literally, I am making it up on the spot. So it's all very good on the album and all the rest of it, yeah. And I sort of go along with it, but yeah, I can't remember the lyrics. I'm terrible. So yeah.
Nobody
So
understands a word you're singing anyway, so
well,
you're fine.
this is it. This is it. So, and the way I look at it is, it means that every night's different. So for the crowd coming, you never get the same. Even if it's the same set list, you never get in the same show twice.
So has he encouraged you to do some vocals, Rich?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
Has it never been a dream of yours to be some form of vocalist?
When we started Malediction, I remember we the first song that I wrote is the one we still play, Infestation, and the original version of it, I was like, oh, I'm going to do backing vocals. So it had this sort of like I suppose a chorus really, and I was going to do, and we like the line Sean was going to do something, and I'd sort of do a response to it, and we started doing it in rehearsal, and I absolutely cannot play the guitar and do anything else, and it's still the case. Like I find it a struggle to hit the delay button on the pedal board because that's how terrible I am at multitasking. It's just like, oh, it's a major challenge for me to do that, let alone. So when you see people like Rush and they're playing keyboards with their feet and that, I'm just like full of absolute admiration because I can barely do the guitar thing on its own, without adding to it.
Well, maybe what I'm thinking is maybe your voice hadn't broken when you were 19, like Rick's had when he was 50. So who knows? Who knows? But I noticed Rich that Austerym were back in the rehearsal studio recently. But I'm just wondering, Rich, has the drummer Robert not pissed you off yet when he says Rich, no, Rich, no, Rich? Because the bloody threes have got the same name.
Yeah, yeah. It's too many yards, isn't there? Too many hours in the
It
band.
is, yeah. We suddenly realised that it needs to be. You need to be called. You need to be called. Well, you need to at least have your name begin with the letter R if you're going to be an Austerym. And of course, Bob is also a Robert, so he fits the bill. So that's it now. So it's the four R's definitely, yeah. But
Yeah.
the three Richards. It's a dying name. This is the irony. It's a dying name, and we've got three of them in the same band.
I get you. I get you. And you're talking to another one,
Yeah.
Richard the Lionheart. My mum used to call me when I was a boy, but
Yeah.
she calls me Dick now. But anyway, um, but you're probably going to be fed up hearing this question. I watched a 2019 interview, Rick, where you said that you were recording an album or at least an EP, and then
Yeah.
you released a single in 2021. So,
Yeah.
is there any new music in the band since there's now a full lineup?
Yeah. Well, so obviously I was writing and we were trying to get things ready and we were trying to do stuff and then we were playing lots of gigs and it was all going really well and then COVID happened and basically the band imploded. Um, the plan after COVID was still to, get back together and record. That was the big thing,
Yeah,
especially with for Bob. We wanted a record with Bob on, because Bob had been in the band, as a drummer longer than probably anyone else.
yeah.
Um, and so, I'd started really writing a lot of stuff and asking the guys for ideas and such like. And we were getting things together, and then it suddenly dawned on me and Bob after a while. And this is no disrespect to anybody who's been in the band or previously been in the band because I care for them all very, very deeply and we're all good friends and everything. But me and Bob suddenly realised that it was just us in the rehearsal room. Um, and gigs and things like that that were being offered to us were being turned down by members of the band because of
Yeah,
distance and things like that.
yeah,
And we suddenly thought, well, if the passion's not there for it, then you know. And I was also at that stage. I was, we'd all come out of COVID, we'd all come out of lockdown, and I wanted to spend time with my family and all the rest of it as well. And so I was a little bit like, well, look, if the passion's not there for it, let's just explore other things. So yeah, the worst song's ready. But obviously now I've got a new lineup, and that new lineup is really, really good and can play really, really well. So basically, what I've done is I've sent them all the stuff that I'd written previously and said, look, let's just use this as like a riff tape, but don't, you know what I mean? And just we'll write some songs and everything around that. Um, but also at the same token, it's going to take a little while for this stuff to come out because Malediction are obviously looking at getting, well, not just looking, we've been busy working on music and everything.
yeah.
And that as I say has got to be the priority. I've got to learn all these really complex songs that you know Rich and Mark keep writing with 500 riffs per song.
So, in other
So
words, don't piss Rich off in Austerham then, because if he does, then he's going to get his own back in Malediction.
this is it. This is it. Absolutely. But yeah, but no, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a democracy. So I want the guys to have free reign and be able to do, be able to contribute and everything. And I want them to be able to write stuff and make it better than what it was.
So, would you say there's any complete songs?
There's sort of a complete song, but again, I'm sort of open for for that to be manipulated. It could still be, we've only had one rehearsal. We've literally, had one.
Yeah.
Like this is the lineup. Let's have a rehearsal. So obviously, because we're rehearsing for Dead of Winter, it's the old stuff, And so it's like, right, let's just like get that out of the way, and then as and when
Yeah.
we've got time with all the other stuff, because Bloodmoors have just brought out a new single and have been working on an album as well. So and the RGS, who Bob also plays drums in, have just really dropped an album as well. And so it's a little bit like, well, look, we'll get there, but it's got to be down the line kind of thing. But yeah.
Oh, cool, cool, cool. So Rich, how was the rehearsal for you? Did you find it constructive? Did you yourself listen to the material that Rick had sent you, and maybe concentrated on two of those that you think can go somewhere?
I think I've listened to those once. I mean, the trouble is, I was deeply into writing new malediction material, so didn't really want to be distracted from that at the time. So yeah, I just concentrated on learning the album really.
Yeah, no, fair, absolutely fair. Um, but for those that are new to the band, then how would you say the new material lies in terms of the sound of Sepulchrum? And do you think you're finding the sound that you've been looking for with the upcoming material, or do you think you'll just keep on changing with each release? You'll keep on changing and progressing with each release?
I'm hoping that the material that like I said, that I've presented to the guys as and when we get to it, will be dissected, and bits of it will be used, and the other guys will contribute their bits to it. I think with the guys that we've got in the band, I think it could be a lot more. When I say technical, I don't want to sort of sound, pompous or anything like that, but the way I look at stuff, my head, when I wrote the music for Sepulchrum, the Ventium, it was pretty much I was looking at like Autopsy, Entombed, that kind of
Stay with
vibe.
that. Stay with that.
Well, yeah, but I think in my head, I'm sort of like, whilst that's still there, I'm also very much like, it develops and everything, and I mean, I'm absolutely awful for rewriting Morbid Angel songs, you know what I mean, stuff like that. So I can definitely see it going in that direction as well. So,
There's one band that you haven't mentioned yet, and I thought it screamed of them. I
mm,
thought At the Gates were a major influence for you in that album.
mm, excuse
Slaughter
me,
of the Soul
meeting.
was a major influence. Aye.
So they were on, especially on the song "Darkness Burns Forever."
Yeah.
That was my homage to At the Gates. But the thing with that was we ended up through the sort of like, I don't know, not, yeah, I suppose the record company really, they sort of like just wanted it in as a track, but I sort of wanted it as a bonus track because
Okay.
I felt that track was a little bit different.
Yeah.
I thought we were sort of like more obviously just old school death metal in a sort of like Massacre, Autopsy, that kind of vein.
Yeah.
And I felt like that song was a little bit more progressive, I suppose, in that sense. The guitar's doing different things, not playing the same. Not copying each other. You know what I mean? Playing slightly different riffs and stuff.
Yeah.
And so yeah, At the Gates is definitely in there, and I love At the Gates. But as I say, I think uh, I'll be just interested to see whichever way the guys can steer it, because I'm there for the ride as much as everyone else. I'd love there to be a new album or EP.
Yeah.
And I would love it to be equal billing. You know what I mean? I don't want it just to be the Rick Simpson show. I appreciate that Austerym is sort of like my baby, so I appreciate the fact that I might be sort of like the final say or whatever kind of thing, which usually happens in a democracy, I suppose. But I want those guys to, contribute. And if those guys are contributing, I can just see more, blisteringly technical guitar leads, some, fantastic riffs and all the rest of it. And Bob able to go around and blast his way through everything. So yeah. Yeah, so let's see where it goes. Let's see where it goes. I can see it becoming a little bit more technical than the last album, though, definitely.
I can see that as well, especially with Rich coming into it.
Yeah.
But it must be a wee bit frustrating when you've had music like saved somewhere on your computer or something like that for 5 or 6 years, and it's now getting basically like redrawn and redrafted again. It's a shame what COVID's done. It's just put everything to a halt. You could have released an album 4 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just
Absolutely.
it's a shame how it's turned out. But with yourself, Rich, I know that you're deep in riffs with Malediction, but with Death Collect, is that more Mick that writes the material for that?
It's Mick and Lee. The last song that they did, the new one, the one that I did the mix on, that was a Lee song.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've talked about new material for that, and I've got something that I just had, which I thought might be more them than it was Malediction, but we haven't met up again. So
yeah. I'm just wondering how you balance out with like Malediction, Austerym, Death Collector. Are you not all riffed out?
It's, to be honest with you, my writing is concentrated in Malediction, and because I've got a very particular way of writing and a very particular way of putting songs together. And I think if I did it in another band, it would just sound like a Malediction song. It wouldn't sound like them. So I'm quite happy, very happy, in fact, to take a back seat.
Yeah.
In other bands, and obviously make suggestions and collaborate. But it's different. It's a different setup.
I know this is an interview for Austerym, but I'm letting Rick eat his pizza, so take another chunk. If you want to tell us, like, if you want to give us a wee update on Malediction, are you looking like an EP? Are you looking like an album? Are you looking at something in spring? What's happening with Malediction at the moment?
Well, the current plan. Well, we've got 7 new songs, and the plan is to redo one song from the 96 album that never came out. It's an instrumental. And Rick's got a song. I think Mark might have some stuff. So I mean, the 7 we've got are ones that I've written, and hopefully, like Rick and Mark will pony up some stuff, throw it in the mix, and we'll make a decision about a final lineup. We're going to do a single soon of one of the songs, one you've heard, in fact. But we've just got to go and record Dan, our new drummer. We've got to go and record him to stick him on the recording. And the plan is to do the drums for the album probably March, April next year.
Do you know, it seems so bloody... I'm like, that's 6 months, but it's
it is.
Rolls, isn't it?
Some of the songs, the 2 you've heard, were written in 2023. They were written before we played Dead of Winter. It's just taking so long. I don't know. Obviously we've changed drummers. So that's obviously just set everything back hugely, and we've kind of lost 2025. Really, we've only done what two shows, is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's unfortunate, but it's what happens in bands, isn't it? So
absolutely, we're all of an age where we have to work Monday to Friday 9 to 5, don't we? So, and we've got
not
families and stuff.
No, I don't anymore.
This is why Rich comes up with most of the material, you see, from Melody. Well, A, because it's his band, but also, he only works a few days a week now, he just pops in, whereas, the rest of us are still full time, we haven't got that luxury.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's great, guys. Thank you for that. But I was just wondering, I was actually thinking, while I was conducting my research, that it may be a wee bit closer to where we are actually. But is there anything about the way that you're going to record the new material that you'll continue to use? For example, using the Fly Studio, which you did with Sepulchrum, and you've got a settled formula? Or are you quite open to finding new studios, new experiences? Or do you think you've got that formula and that's what you're going to continue to use?
I think that I would be more than happy to use the fly to sort of like combine things and put things together. The great thing nowadays is that we've all got our own ability to record, so it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that we've all got to be sitting in the same room anymore. But yeah, certainly, with regards to Austerymn, I'd like to be involved in the production and the mixing and all the rest of it, definitely. Um, with regards to drums, I could possibly see drums being recorded at another studio or whatever. But at the same token, my studio is because the Fly is my studio essentially. So,
Ah, right,
um,
okay.
I have got it set up so that we can record live drums and such like there now and everything. So,
Yeah.
um, so yeah,
Now,
so yeah,
how are things at the Fly? Or are you getting quite a lot of bands using the studio? Using the studio, is it quite good at the time?
No, but back in the day, it was doing all right. It was doing okay. We were so. Funnily enough, it was sort of how me and Rich first met. Because we were uh, both doing Monstrance with Carlo Regardas, who used to be in Carcass and Devoid,
That's right,
etc.
yeah.
And so we were recording a lot of that stuff. Well, that never ended up coming out, unfortunately. We started doing that at my studio, and obviously Rich came down and was playing bass, and so that's where we first actually met. Was at the Fly. Um, but yeah, so back in the day, it was doing all right, and I did the first Arjesk album, which was quite funny because they asked, we want to record a demo, so I was like, yeah, 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 no problem. And then they had a few more songs, so they were like, "Oh, we want to do an EP." So I was like, "Yeah, okay, we'll just carry on, and everything." And they were like, "You know what? We've got enough songs to do an album." I was like, "Come on, then, let's just finish it off." What was the deal? I think it was a 24 pack of Stella I got for that one. So, but it was good experience. It was good experience. But no, the Fly is my home studio. I've got it set up in a little outbuilding and everything, so that
Got you.
you know. But yeah, it's more my home studio than everything. So
But
I don't do that
you're
much.
quite cheap then, just a few cans of Stella and you're okay. And you can use it.
Well, that's it. Yeah, that's it. It depends on how successful the albums get that we record there and everything. But at the minute, yeah, yeah. Birra Moretti is my current tickle at the moment, actually. So yeah, 24 cans of Birra Moretti and you're in for a month.
Good stuff, man.
Mm.
But obviously, one of the main reasons for contacting you and doing this interview is that you're climbing over a certain wall and you're coming to play Glasgow. So is this obviously you've been there with Malediction, but is this the first time that Austerym have been up?
Yeah, yeah. First time we've ever played in Scotland, which is crazy because Austerym was lucky enough to. We've toured in the States, we've toured in Europe, so we've done lots of sort of, we've been quite successful. After Sepulchrum came out, and we got a lot of backing at the time from Terrorizer magazine as well,
Yeah.
because they dug the stuff, you know what I mean, and so very very grateful to them,
Is this not
obviously.
equally as frustrating for you then? What could have been?
Mm.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was taking off. It was a good band. I liked all the members. We were all getting on. But you know,
Yeah.
I mean, when it all ended and everything, it was gutting. I'll be honest with you, it was gutting. But also at the same token, when, like I said before, when it was just like me and Bob in a rehearsal room, there was also a relief there as well. You know what I mean? It was just like, well, if the passion's not there from the other members, then.
Yeah.
And then, but the good thing about that was that I had because I had I say prestige. Prestige is the wrong word, but because I'd been in a band that had managed to do all these sorts of things and everything. When I pimped myself out as a bass player looking for work, luckily I had quite a few offers. So yeah, so it worked both ways.
Were you still quite cheap?
Very cheap, very cheap. haven't received a paycheck yet from everybody.
Well, you need to check your Spotify. Who knows? You might have a wee hidden sum in there. You might have some few pennies from Spotify. You never know who listens to you
Well,
nowadays. It's all the click of a button now, isn't it? Rather
this
than
is
looking
it.
for CDs.
This is it.
But okay then. So nobody in Scotland, unless they've travelled, have seen an Austerym show. So what the hell are you going to bring to the stage at Ivory Blacks?
Well, I'm going to bring my usual over-the-top exuberance. I'm going to bring my eye-to-eye contact with the crowd, which I think is really important. I do believe in looking at people in the face and
Are you quite
giving them all that.
intimidating?
I wouldn't say I'm intimidating.
Because you seem a
Probably
nice, pleasant guy. You're always smiling and stuff like that. But do you have a
no,
different persona when
on
you're
the
on that?
stage, yeah. Yeah. I turn into a complete psychopath,
The hooligan,
and I and
yeah.
I gurn a lot. um, but yeah, I do. It's the one place where I can sort of like, I suppose, another side of me comes out. Um, I am a
It's a,
pretty chill guy, but yeah,
yeah, it's a shame you're not a bassist or a vocalist because I would encourage you because Ivory Blacks, you've got the entrance at the side. Come and join the audience on the floor. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but you can't do that if you've got vocals. Maybe, I don't know, if Rich just decides to go and play a wee instrumental in the middle of a song or something like that, just come in the crowd.
This is it. Absolutely, put the bass down and just dive in. Although I'm getting pretty old now. My diving days are a little bit behind me. I went. I can't remember. I went into a pit. I'm sure Rich was there. I went into a pit, or yeah, I can't remember. We've been to a lot of gigs together, but within the last 12 months, I went into a pit somewhere, and I only
Yeah.
was there for one song, and I came out of that pit, and I was just like, oh my God.
Your glasses are like that.
Yeah. I was just like, no,
I know,
no.
I know.
But at the same token, the great thing with playing there with Malediction is that, I know that the crowd in Scotland are absolutely mental. And so I just hope that it's more of the same. We're going to go there with the intention of playing some really, really good, catchy, old school death metal in your face. And I just hope that the guys are all there, guys and girls are all there,
Yeah.
moshing, starting pits, getting up on stage and diving. You're more than welcome.
And we shouldn't forget as well, not just the Friday and the Saturday, we've also got Mutagenic host who have got the unfortunate timing of coming up on the Thursday night as well. So at least it's not dead on the festival as well. But
Yeah,
if people can manage to come up the night before, then a Mutagenic host. Wow.
Yeah.
Great band. Great band.
absolutely.
Saw them
Absolutely.
in Bristol earlier in the year, and they were at the Griffin, and it was packed. I mean, if you know the Griffin,
Yeah.
there's not many people to be packed, but it was really good. It was really good.
He's a good guy, Ashmore. Interviewed him as well. So,
Yeah.
no, good guys, good guys. But as you know, with being in Malediction, the tip of the day is make sure that you come with merch. Are you going to be coming with any form of merch? What are you bringing?
Yes, I have still got merch left over from back in the day. So I will be coming with original Austerym shirts. There will be a handful of CDs and things like that as well that will be there. But yeah, I have sourced a box full of t-shirts and such like. So yes, there will be some merch to sell.
Was that
So
you raiding the attic in your house?
the other side of the studio, actually, the other side of the fly, yeah. So I'll make sure that they're all clean and ironed and pressed, they've not got slugs going through them or anything,
But as the other
spiders,
thing I would say, but you guys are well aware of it, is like the ULIZ zone. So just watching the method of transport that you come up. Don't want to be caught out with the government and their wise moves.
Mm.
But yeah, so obviously Dead of Winter is going to be your comeback gig. Is it too early to say if there's any gigs in 2026? Are you allowed to say anything, or are you just concentrating on the songs first before?
Yeah, concentrating on Dead of Winter. That's the main priority.
Yeah.
So far we've got nothing else booked gig wise, and so more than happy to providing timetable wise, we can all do it. We're open to obviously doing more gigs. Um, I'm not sure that there are that many people who know we've actually sort of reformed. So, it's getting that word out again that we're sort of back in action, I suppose. But
Well, it's
yeah,
going to
then
start this Thursday when you come on my radio show, by the way.
this is it. This is
Yeah.
it. And
Come.
then yeah, after that, I suppose, like I said, malediction is the priority, and then after that, yeah, definitely need to get some new material recorded, be it an album, be it an EP, and then yeah, who knows? But so far, the intention with Austerym is that it will be taking a back seat to the other things that
Yeah.
people have got going.
Yeah.
I didn't join malediction to be, a stepping board or just to get new members for Austerym. I joined malediction because they were a band that back in the day,
So,
they started in '89, we started in 1990. We were sort of, all part of a very, very small scene back then, and they were a band that I admired. And so, therefore, I'm very, very proud and privileged to be part of that. So, yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. But what about doing something that you did? I've even forgotten the date now. Was it 2019? Was it 2021? You released a single. What about releasing a single? And that lets
Yeah,
people know that you're back and then
absolutely.
concentrate and writing another 4 songs for an EP or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that could very well end up being the plan. The single was it was quite funny. It was a bit like being back in Perpetual Infestation, because the single was recorded at the Fly during lockdown. It was me. It was literally, the bass, the guitars, the drums, the vocals. So it was a demo essentially. You know what I mean? That was, of a potential song, but it was sort of finished, for want of a better word. I
Yeah.
mean, it could have done with a better guitar solo on it, but it ended up with me doing the lead guitar solo on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and again, that was just to sort of say, like I suppose every band at the time, I thought, look, let's just get this out and just sort of say, we're still, we're still active, guys, and I hope everyone's doing okay, and this, that, and the other. Pritch wrote the lyrics for it, so obviously he got the co-write, because Pritch wrote most of the lyrics um for Austeryn. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, so it was a proper Austerym track, but yeah, I literally played all the instruments on it. So yeah, and it would have appeared on the next album or the demo, but recorded by all of us, I suppose. Yeah. So
Yeah. I know that you released the album through the brilliant Spanish label Memento Mori. Um, has there been any like labels sniffing about since then, saying like what he's up to, or are you going to release the next material independently and just see what happens?
I'd like to have a label behind us. I think a label does give you that little bit more credibility.
Mm,
I've been in bands that have just released independently, and it's fine. It's great. It's the way forward. A lot of people are doing it and everything, but for me, I just like that prestige of having a label.
yeah,
At the same token, I'm not adverse to becoming a label and maybe doing it that way. Um, Critch and I both toyed with the idea of starting Godless Truth Records.
like it.
Um, yeah, so that might still be something that Steve's interested in. We'll see. But either way, it might still be something that I think of doing. So yeah, it's still down the line, kind of
Yeah,
thing with
yeah.
with new material and such like. But in some respects, I would like to have a label, and this time as well, I would like to have a vinyl release as well. I just think, that's the way to go. Um, so yeah, vinyl release as well will be quite splendid.
That's something that's happening a lot now, especially with bands up here in Scotland.
Yeah,
After decades, we've now got our own pressing plant, and it's now called Seabass. And
mm,
one of the good things about Seabass is they put the prices on their website, so you
yeah,
know exactly how much it's going to cost you, and it means that you can know exactly what you're going to sell it for.
exactly.
Um, so yeah, Kendall's a good one to get in contact from Macho Records. You know him, so
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely. So our job basically at Dead of Winter is to go out there, give an absolutely blinding set, and for Kendo to come up and say, "Rick, can I have a word with you?" We'll see. You never know. Dreams come true.
absolutely, absolutely. But going back to Sepulchrum, looking at it 10 years ago, is there anything about it that you would love to have changed? You would like,
Yeah.
or any of the previous material, would you love to give that another chance, or what?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think the Godless Truth stuff would have worked. The Godless Truth stuff was great. I don't just mean that in a funny way, but Godless Truth material was really, really good. It was dare I say it myself, was a real quality Death Doom stuff, probably, akin to sort of early Anathema, early Paradise Lost, Chorus of Ruin, My Dying Bride, that kind of stuff. And it was
Yeah,
really, really good, really melodic and everything. But from that point of view, it wouldn't have worked with Austerym in the sense that, Austerym was a full out, death metal band. That material just wouldn't have sat right. Um, but yeah, with regards to the album, there's quite a long story, really, and but basically, it didn't sound how it was supposed to sound. So the album was supposed to sound like Left Hand Path, or or the first Dismember album, like an ever flowing stream and stuff. It was supposed to be that Stockholm HM2
yeah,
sound, and
love it.
obviously that didn't happen. And it's a long story, and it's not to sort of blame anyone. There's no blame there or anything. But yeah, I was disappointed. If I'd had my way, I would have. The thing with Memento Mori is they've got a very, very um, rigid release schedule, which is fine. And so when I wasn't, not just me, but the rest of the guys weren't happy with the sound of the actual album,
Yeah.
I was a bit like, oh, don't, we can't put this out. And it was a sort of a case of, well, if it doesn't come out, it doesn't come out. You know what I mean? And so we sort of went, yeah, all right, we'll pop it out. And subsequently, loads of people have come up to me saying, "Oh, it sounds great. We love it. We love the sound of the album." Um, but that album it was written. The riffs were written with the intention that it was going to be, Left Hand Path 2, and yeah, that didn't quite happen.
Well, do you know it's quite funny you say that because there was a Facebook page, Black Death Nostalgia. It's my mate Marty that does it. He's
Yeah.
got like 265,000 members on Facebook and stuff
Mm.
like that. And he recently put up one Napalm Death Harmony Corruption. People hate that for the sound. It's actually my favourite Napalm album.
Yeah.
I know a lot of it was like Scott Burns, so maybe yes, it is. Don't you start. What's yours?
What?
What's your
I'll just say you Harmony Corruption,
what's your favourite Napalm album then?
from Enslavement to Obliteration.
Okay.
Which is also my favorite Napalm Death album as well.
Right.
But
Well,
I love Harmony Corruption, and I learned to love Harmony Corruption in the year 2000 of all years. So so 10 years after it came out. But I learned to love it on honeymoon, and I sat there with my portable, disc Walkman thing, reading a book on a beautiful beach,
wait a minute.
listening to Harmony Corruption, and I thought this
No,
is
no,
a
no, no,
great
no,
album.
no. Your honeymoon. Can you not
Yeah,
think
the
of
honeymoon.
anything better to do on your honeymoon?
Oh, there was lots of things, but me and my wife were literally on a desert island in the middle of the ocean. So yeah,
You
so it
couldn't
was.
communicate with your wife or anything like
Oh,
that,
we
no?
we we, we did but Harmony Corruption was definitely part of it.
But also, what I'm hearing, Rich, is they wanted it to sound like Entombed and Dismember and things like that. So, have you got an HM2 pedal, sir?
Got a drawer full of them.
Yeah, I'm a collector of HM2s, and I actually was not consulted. That's the wrong word. My opinion was asked when Boss came out with the Wazacraft. I was actually one of the people that contributed some ideas to what that should sort of like come out like. They didn't listen to me, but that's fine.
It's good to give your opinion, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm a HM2 connoisseur. Yeah, definitely. But interestingly enough, I probably wouldn't use the HM2 pedal on the next record now. I think
End
it's
of
sort of been
interview.
yeah, I think it's been overdone. I think it's been overdone. I love
No,
it, but I think it's been overdone. And
no,
I
it's
think
not. No.
It's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? Now I think.
yeah,
A little bit.
How are you
Sounds
going to bring
great,
it?
but, you
No,
know.
no. There's so many bands out there that are still playing HM2. HM2 is the future. That's what I'll say about that. I'm the one conducting the interview, so you know that it's what goes, right? But yes, with you doing now the vocals, Rick, and you're going to be on stage and things like that. So, say you've got a 30-minute set. What do you do? And you're going to be in the studio at some point, and you're going to be recording the same lines over and over again. How do you keep your throat in check? How do you keep your vocals like sorted for them?
Well, there's two ways to do it. I mean, and I employ both of them really. One of them is vocal zone toffees, which we all use and really help. But the main thing is actually, like I said before, I'm actually a proper singer, and actually it's the same technique. So it's actually using the diaphragm rather than just using the vocal cords. In many ways, the vocal cords are open. So
Yeah.
other than getting a dry throat because your mouth's open and articulate or not, it's a very similar sort of thing. So long as you're doing it right, then actually you are protecting your voice. Yeah,
Sounds as
the
if he knows
problem
what he's doing.
yeah, but the problem is when the adrenaline kicks in and you just
Yeah.
start going for those notes a little bit more than maybe you should. You think, I shouldn't have done that. I've ripped it there, But yeah, fingers crossed, we'll be all right.
It's quite funny. I interviewed Jason, formerly of Ingested, like backstage up here in Glasgow. And after the interview, he showed me his suitcase, and all it was Vocal Zone, but Vocal Zone tea. And it was like jojoba and passion fruit tea. I was like, what the But then I've interviewed Carl Willits, and he's like, give me 10 fags and 6 cans, and I'll
Yeah,
go on stage. So you just have to find what's good for you guys.
that's it. That's it. Different things work for different people. Different people, absolutely. And I'm not a protect. I mean, back in the day, I used to smoke and all the rest of it as well. Even though I was, I don't smoke now, but even though I was, a singer and all the rest of it. But no, the technique is the same. You
Yeah.
sing from your gut rather than singing from your throat, and just let it sort of all come out. And usually you're okay. Usually you're all right.
Sounds as if he knows what he's doing. Well, we'll see if he knows what he's doing in January. You're playing a Saturday, aren't you?
Yeah. I won't know
Yeah.
any of the lyrics, but that doesn't matter. I'll know the screams.
Well, funnily enough, I've only got a couple of questions left for you guys. I appreciate the time that you've spent with me and things like that. But on the subject of the lyrics, then, and since you're going to be coming up with new material, where do you get your lyrical inspiration from? Do you watch a lot of documentaries? Do you watch a lot of films? Do you read a lot of books? Or you've always got a piece of paper and a pen on you, you open the door and you see something in the street and you write it down, you come back to later? Where do you get your lyrics from?
Yeah, so I think lyric wise, I mean, I was always quite lucky in the fact that I used to offload a lot of that to Critch. And who knows, he's probably still got a book full and maybe still willing to sort of send me some. But I think nowadays, back in the early days, it was zombies. It was zombies and eating flesh, and that's what it was about. The song "Dead." If you actually listen to the lyrics, it's just like, oh my god. Um, but nowadays, it's more to do with, I think, what's going on in the world around us and stuff like that, really. And I think that and documentaries and such like that.
Yeah.
And I think there's enough horror that's going on at the moment that you can sort of interpret that and put that into a death metal song rather than have to maybe so obvious and everything. But yeah, but the song Riven, for example, that was definitely based on Hellraiser. Riven, it's about being torn apart. So that's definitely about that. But the single that came out during lockdown, um, Savagery Unconfined, was actually about domestic violence. So that was
Yeah.
that was just an idea that Critch came up because of the increase of domestic violence that was going on, unfortunately, during lockdown, because of
Yeah.
people being in, obviously in enclosed spaces and such like. And
Yeah.
so that was actually about that. So I think the lyrics will definitely evolve. I'm 50 now. I'm not 15, and so it does make a big difference.
Because I also look at Quando from Brainbath, for example. He's already got they've just basically recorded an album at the moment, but he's already got lyrics for the next album because he's
Yeah.
constantly writing. Do you wait until the music's written before you write?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never written a lyric until that. When I'm writing the music for a song, um, I'll start to even come up with vocal patterns before I come up with lyrics, and
Yeah.
then try and think, right, what's this song going to be about, and then write the lyrics there to sort of like fit in those patterns and such like. Because I think otherwise I'd write an absolute load of stuff and just end up crossing half of it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't fit. So I'm a musician first, in terms of that, and so I always write the music first. It's very, very rare that I've come up with lyrics first. I have, but
Yeah.
it's rare. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fair. As I said earlier, guys, thanks very much for staying with me. I've only got two questions left, and hopefully it's a wee bit of fun as well. And maybe put you on the spot a wee bit, Rich, because I'm going to go with Rick first. You've got your set list for Dead of Winter. You're going to play a 30-minute set. What's the one song off the set list that you're looking forward to playing the most, and why? It might be fifth on the set list, but what is it? What's the song that you cannot wait to play?
I have two that I can't sort
Now,
of
the
like
question was
distinguish about.
one.
Oh, do I have to go for one? If
No,
I'm gonna
you can
go,
go two. You can say
gonna
them
go for
both.
two. Okay, so Dead, which was one of the songs that I wrote when I was 15. I always enjoy playing that one. And
Why?
another song. It's juvenile. It's how death metal was back in the day. It's really pure. It's about zombies. It's just literally nothing pretentious or anything like that at all. It's just straightforward, and it's great.
Good stuff.
And Necrolation, which is again, I love playing Necrolation because it's fast. It's 2 minutes long. It's literally in, bang, done, and it's a real punch to the gut, and it's just one of those real fun songs to play. It's a real sort of you know Rain in Blood type Slayer fest, with death metal vocals. It's great. So yeah, I love playing those two songs.
Excellent, excellent. I know I might be putting you on the spot, Rich. Is it too early to say what song that you would like to play on the set list?
Yeah, I'm terrible with titles of other people's stuff. I really like the opener, "Feeding the Grotesque," because it's
Mm.
got a really cool
Yes.
harmony thing, later in the song. Which is the one with the sort of bluesy doom.
Yeah.
Is that the same one? Is that that one?
There's
Sort of
that.
trouble doom riff.
That's In Death We Speak.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Yeah. Because
you
I'm a
go. There you go.
big doom head, so anything like
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely. Death Doom's my thing at the moment. So if you play those songs, I'll be a very, very happy man. But my last question for you, and I'll start with you, Rich. When it's coming to the point where you are going to record, or when you're going to be playing actually in Dead of Winter, What's your guitar setup? What amps are you using? What pedals are you using? So, Rich, you can start, mate.
I'm still using the same rig that I use with Malediction, which is HX Stomp. So it's and it's there's a power amp. So it's like a pedal board rig, but I'm going to play a six string. Because I'm not playing any lead in Austerym because Rich is an absolute monster. So I was like, oh, Rich is in the band. That's good because I don't have to worry about all that shit. I can just play rhythm and not worry about it. So I'm playing six string. He's playing the seven string in Austerym. He's got to worry about all
As
that.
long
But
as you don't start singing about dragons and castles and knights and
no,
swords and stuff like that with seven
no,
fucking strings.
purely zombies with big tits, I'd imagine.
Yeah,
Couldn't
yeah,
have put
and
it better
domestic abuse.
myself. But so does that mean like with Austerym when you're performing live, your pedals like that, but when you're playing with Malediction, your pedal
No,
boards like that?
same. It's like HX Stomp's got everything on it. It's got all multi effects and not that I really use. And like I say, it's challenging enough for me to press the delay pedal on and off.
Yeah.
So,
So what
but
about the
yeah,
tuning? Are you playing in a different tune?
it's same. It's B standard.
B, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. All those early bands, we all tuned to B. That was just the law.
yeah,
Had to be. So yeah, we've stuck with it, haven't we, mate?
You're going to have to
yeah.
make him a wee bit more challenging for him. This is far too easy for him, Rick. Um,
We're gonna start tuning to E standard, and I'm gonna have to start singing like the late great Tompa, very high pitched.
absolutely, absolutely. What about yourself, mate? What bass have you got that you're going to be bringing at Dead of Winter?
So for Dead of Winter, I am going to be bringing a new five-string headless bass that I can't remember the name of at the moment.
I thought
I've
you were going to
obviously,
say you can't remember the price off because your wife is
no,
probably
no,
listening.
Kath is sat right next to me actually. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm going to be using that traveling light. So yeah, it's a headless bass, so it's lighter. When I played last time, I used my uh, bass, which I made myself. So I'm a luthier as well. So I make guitars and basses, um, and I use that. But it's a very heavy bass, and as I say, I'm getting a bit old. The back can't take it as much, so I've gone for something a bit lighter. But I'm currently, it won't be ready for Dead of Winter, but I'm currently making a new six-string headless bass, which is also going to be
Right.
lightweight as well, which I'm going to be using that more for malediction and such like in the future. But
Are you going to turn
yeah.
into like Cynic or something like that? Like your technical
No.
death metal or something?
Well, I mean, you never know. They're always asking me to throw a little bit of atheist type bass line,
Yeah.
especially into malediction, and I'm trying to come up with a few parts as well, but it's very difficult because malediction when you listen to bands like Atheist and such like when the bass is doing a lot of the technical stuff, guitars aren't. The
Yeah.
guitars are sort of like sitting back and letting the bass take a bit more of the lead. Malediction, I've got great riffs and great, guitar parts and everything, and so um, the bass has to sort of like not overcomplicate that. So I'm trying to find parts where the bass can sort of fit into that and do something a little bit different, a little bit more harmonious and such like. But you know, but I'm coming up with some pretty interesting stuff. I'll throw it all to Rich and he'll say no, but he's the boss, so that's fine.
Rich, I think we have to watch him. I think he's thinking he's the Les Claypool of death metal or something like that.
I'm all for that. To be honest with you, I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one of the things about Rick coming on board. That was I thought, well, now we've got a proper bass player in the band, so you better bloody deliver.
Good,
That's it.
good.
That's it. The pressure's on me.
Yeah.
So the whole pressure of malediction's futures on whether or not I can play bass or not.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen,
Or I get fired.
yeah. On that note, it's good to hear that there's progress being made with both bands, and especially in the next couple of months, looking forward to seeing. I keep saying Austerym. I know that you pronounce it differently, but
Austerym is great. The way you pronounce it is absolutely fine, honestly. We've
uh,
had so many bad pronunciations of it that the way you pronounce it, mate, I'll take that any day of the week. It's a stupid name,
yes,
I wish
Yes.
we'd called ourselves Plant Pot or something, you know what I mean? But
And like I said, just remember what you're going to do with your album title and your song titles if you want them played in my
absolutely.
radio show.
Yeah.
Right?
But I actually decided actually the whole Latin thing was getting a bit pompous as well. So no, it's going to be called, Blood and Gore or something like that. Don't you worry.
I can say that. That's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
But like I say, it's good to see that both bands are progressing. It's good to see that you're still good mates with everybody that's been in the band and no longer in the band. And it's good to see that Maledictions is still going to be kicking ass in the near future as well. So it's been an absolute pleasure seeing you guys. I'll make sure that I'll catch up with you again in at the end of January, and we'll go downstairs in Ivory Blacks and we'll have a live interview as well after you've performed. It
definitely
depends if
looking
you're good
forward to it.
enough, that is. If you're
Yeah,
not good
that's
enough,
it.
I might
Yeah,
just accidentally miss you.
it's fair enough. It's fair enough.
I'm sure you guys are going to be fine. Looking forward to seeing you guys. Take
Looking
care,
forward
man.
to it. Take care, boss.
All
Cheers.
right.
Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.